I stood there, staring at the jagged gap where my wall once stood. Bricks were strewn across the ground like shattered teeth, and a cloud of dust still hung in the air. My Levying room, once warm and lined with family pictures, now gaped open to the outside world. A chilly morning breeze swept through the hole, carrying the faint hum of traffic and the chirping of birds. Nearby, a crew of guys in hard hats and orange vests milled around. One of them gripped a clipboard, while a bulldozer sat idle a few feet away, its steel jaws still crusted with chunks of my house. This property was encroaching on HOA land. A guy with a bushy mustache and dark sunglasses said, tapping his clipboard. We had to take it down. I could hardly process what he was saying. What? I'm not even part of the HOA. My voice came out raw, a mix of disbelief and rage. He adjusted his shades, unbothered. Doesn't change the fact that this part of your house was on HOA property. My hands balled into fists as I stepped toward him. Who gave you the right to rip down my wall? This is my home. Sir, he cut in, his tone dripping with condescension. You'll need to take it up with the HOA board. We're just following orders. Orders. Someone had decided without even a word to Medhat my house was a problem and had to go. And now they stood there like it was no big deal. My pulse thundered as I surveyed the wreckage. How had this happened? How had I woken up to a normal day, only to find my home in ruins by lunchtime? I didn't have answers yet, but I was damn sure going to get them. It all started a few months back when I moved into this quiet little suburban cul-de-sac. I'd bought a modest one-story house, nothing fancy, just a cozy place with a tiny yard and a white picket fence. It was mine, and I was thrilled for a fresh start. The neighborhood seemed pleasant enough. Neat lawns, friendly folks walking their dogs, kids zipping around on bikes. It had that steady, peaceful vibe I'd been craving. That is, until I met the HOA president, Martin Kessler. Most people called him Marty. He was a guy in his mid-50s, always decked out in crisp khakis and polo shirts, with the smug confidence of someone who loved being the boss. I'd barely unpacked when he showed up at my door. Welcome to the neighborhood, he said, flashing a politician's grin. I'm the HOA president. I shook his hand, not thinking much of it. Nice to meet you. Oh, I know who you are, Ethan, he cut in smoothly. Saw your MOVing truck last week. We keep tabs on things around here, you know, to keep everything in line. Something about his tone made me uneasy. I cleared my throat. Well, I appreciate that, but I'm not actually in the HOA. The previous owner opted out, and I'm planning to do the same. His smile didn't budge, but his eyes flickered. Huh, he said, nodding slowly. That's a shame. We like our community to stay tight. No loose ends, right? I forced a laugh. I don't think it'll be an issue. I keep my place neat. Follow city rules, just don't see the need for an HOA. Marty's smile tightened. Sure. If you ever change your mind, let me know. I closed the door, brushing off the weird vibe he left behind. For a while, things were fine. I settled in, met some neighbors, some in the HOA, some not, like me, happy to skip the extra fees and rules. Then the letters started. At first, it was petty stuff. Notes in my mailbox about my trash cans lingering too long curbside or hints about approved paint colors, even though my house was already painted when I moved in. I ignored them since I wasn't under HOA rules. But then came the Finis official-looking envelopes demanding cash for nonsense violations. $50 for unauthorized lawn decorations when I didn't own any. $100 for improperly parked vehicles when my car never left my driveway. I called the HOA office, irritation bubbling over. I'm not in the HOA, I told the receptionist. Her reply was flat. You'll need to take that up with Mr. Kessler. So I did. I stormed into an HOA meeting at their fancy glass-walled clubhouse. Marty was waiting, arms crossed, smirking. Wondered when you'd show up, he said. I slapped the stack of fines on the table. I don't know what you're playing at, but I don't owe you a dime. I'm not in the HOA. He sighed, like I was some kid pitching a fit. Look, Ethan, I get it. You want to do your own thing. But our rules are here for a reason: property values, community standards. Your rules don't apply to me. I shot back. He eyed me for a moment, then smirked. You might want to double-check that. I left fuming but dug into my property records. No HOA ties, no agreements, nothing. So why was Marty acting like he owned me? Then the petty harassment kicked in. My mailbox got knocked over one night. My trash cans vanished, only to pop up blocks away. My sprinklers, perfectly fine before, burst and flooded my yard. I had a gut feeling it wasn't coincidence. Still, I never imagined it'd escalate this far, never thought I'd come home from work to find a demolition crew tearing into my house. Now, standing before the rubble, I knew this wasn't a mistake. It was a declaration of war. The crew was already packing up, laughing like they hadn't just gutted my life. The bulldozer growled as it backed out of my driveway. I stepped forward, trembling with anger. "You're not Leah Vying until you tell me who authorized this." The mustache guy sighed, annoyed. "Sir, we had a work order from the HOA. Take it up with them." I laughed bitterly. "A work order to destroy my house? Do you even realize what you've done?" He shrugged. "Not my problem." Then he walked off, Leah Vying me with my fists clenched and my home exposed, a couch dusted with debris, broken picture frames, my kitchen counter Vy Seibel from the street. I felt sick. That's when I saw Mrs. Larson, my next-door neighbor. She was a sweet old lady, always tending her flowers at dawn. Now she stood on her porch, hands pressed to her chest, eyes wide. "Oh my," she whispered. I took a shaky breath and crossed to her fence. "Did you see what happened?" She nodded, voice quivering. "I did, Ethan. They came this morning, big men, loud machines. I asked what they were doing, but they ignored me. I called the HOA, but no one picked up." My jaw clenched. "Of course they didn't. I didn't know what to do," she said, wringing her hands. "I was scared they'd come for me next." I softened. She was nearly 80, no match for a crew or an HOA board. "It's okay, Mrs. Larson. This isn't your fault." She looked up, lips tight. "But what are you going to do? You can't let them get away with this." She was right. This wasn't just about a wall, it was about Marty Kessler thinking he could crush me for not bowing to his rules. He was about to learn I don't back down. I spent the next 2 hours on the phone. First, the police. Officer Hayes arrived, a tall guy with weary eyes and a notepad. He whistled at the damage. "They really went to town on you." I crossed my arms. "Yeah, and I want charges pressed." He sighed. "HOA disputes are messy. If they claim this was legal, I'm not in the HOA." I snapped. "They had no right." He paused. "Wait, you're not in it." "No," he scratched his jaw. "That's different." He started writing. "I'll file a report, but you'll need a lawyer. These cases get ugly." "Great." He clapped my shoulder. If this was illegal, they're in for it. It was the first bit of hope I'd had all day. Next, I called a lawyer and booked a consultation for the next morning. But then came a knock, slow deliberation, my wrecked wall. I turned, and there was Marty Kessler, arms crossed, smirking. "Quite a mess," he said, tilting his head. "Shame about the wall." I stepped forward, rage coiling. "You did this." He raised his brows, mock innocent. "Oh, was this not okayed? I wanted to deck him. I'm taking you to court. Cops are involved. You're done." He chuckled. "I wouldn't bet on that. See, the HOA has a clause says this chunk of your property was never yours." My blood froze. "That's a lie." He smiled. "Prove it." Then he strolled off, tossing over his shoulder. "Oh, and we'll expect your HOA fees soon. Welcome to the neighborhood, kid." This wasn't a fight anymore. It was war. I didn't sleep. How could I, with Marty's smug face haunting me? By dawn, I was wired on coffee and fury, driving to meet my lawyer, Paul Grayson. He was a no-BS guy in his 40s, sharp as a tack. "I read your email," he said, tapping his pen. "They tore down your wall, claiming it's HOA land." "Yeah, and I'm not in the HOA." He leaned forward. "You're sure?" "Check my records. No ties." He smirked. "If that's true, they had no right to touch your place." "Exactly," I growled. "What now?" He flipped through papers. "We sue for property damage. If you're not in the HOA, they're screwed." Marty said the land wasn't mine. Paul snorted. "They'd better have proof, or it's just a bluff." Relief hit me. Sumion finally got it. Then a knock interrupted us. Paul opened the door, and we both froze. A cop stood there, holding a notice. "Ethan Miller?" My mouth went dry. "Yeah." He sighed. "You've been served." I took the paper, hands trembling. The HOA was suing me for trespassing in my own land. Paul cursed. "This is insane. They're trying to scare you." It was working. But he grinned. "We've got the truth. We fight." Days later, I had everything: records, fines, photos. Paul hired a surveyor to confirm my property lines. Then it got worse. Late at night, a crash jolted me awake, glass shattering. I ran outside. My car windows smashed, tires slashed, mirrors gone. Spray painted across the hood. Leave. Rage and fear hit me hard. This was Marty. I called 911, shaking. Officer Torres arrived, flashlight in hand. Damn, she muttered, eyeing the damage. You think the HOA did this? I know they did. Proof? Not yet. She sighed. Getty VY dense witnesses, cameras. My mind raced. Mrs. Larson might have seen something. Next morning, she let me in, trembling as she poured tea. I saw them, 3 men, hooded, late last night. They knew what they were doing. Faces, too dark. Then she pulled out a phone, showing grainy VY 3 figures trashing my car. One wore an HOA patch. You got them, I breathed. She smiled. Go make them pay. Paul nearly cheered when he saw it. This buries them. That night, a black car watched me from across the street, then sped off. Marty was scared. Good. The lawsuit hit the next day. Damage, harassment, trespassing. News exploded. HOA president under investigation. Marty's polished image crumbled as cops probed the VY Deo. He resigned. The HOA imploded. Other VY Tims piled on. 2 months later, my home was fixed, settlement in hand. Mrs. Larson waved. You did it. We did it. The neighborhood was free. I grinned. Now I enjoy my damn house.